Good morning, everyone, and welcome. Thank you so much for your interest and for participating at this mini webinar of the European Rewilding Network. European Rewilding Network, just to tell you a little bit about it, or ERN for short, it is a networking tool of Rewilding Europe. It is not only a virtual network, but a community of 77 rewilding initiatives already 27 European countries. ERN is actually a platform for exchange of knowledge, ideas, best practices, and also for having a constructive dialogue about practical rewilding, meaning about challenges, lessons learned, opportunities, and much more. The purpose of these mini webinars, which we call Rewilding Intros, is to provide our members the opportunity to share their stories, to celebrate their achievements, and discuss about their challenges with other members, but also with a wider audience.
Yeah, my video.
Rewilding Intros are actually the only ERN events which are open to public. While last time we virtually traveled to Albania, where our member Eco Albania told us their story, this time we are taking you to the Netherlands, and more specifically to the province of North Brabant, which is home of the Masshorst. I would like to now wish a big welcome to our speakers, Bart van Dijk, who is the general manager of the foundation managing the Masshorst until 1st January this year, Timo Sens, their former landscape architect, and Marjolein Hendricks. Marjolein was hired 1 year ago by the municipality Masshorst as the transition manager and also a strategic advisor. So while Bart and Timo are going to tell you a decade-long rewilding success story of the Masshorst, Marjolein will explain how the municipality will continue the work of the foundation and actually take the Masshorst into the future. Before we start, just a few more remarks about our virtual environment. So this is a webinar and your audio and video is disabled. However, we're going to have a Q&A session at the end of the webinar. So feel free to post your questions in the Q&A box during the presentations. I hope that we will stick to our schedule, which is 30 minutes, but if we go 10 minutes overboard, please bear with us. In these events, sometimes that happens, but we will do our best to really tell the story in 30 minutes. If you're experiencing problems with sound, instead of joining via Eventbrite, best would be to use the Zoom link. This is going to fix this problem. We experienced this sometimes before. And by the way, the webinar is being recorded and it will become available on Rewilding Europe's YouTube channel somewhere early next week. Thank you for your patience with my introduction. And yeah, I forgot to introduce myself. My name is May, and I am the coordinator of the European Rewilding Network. At the end of the webinar, I will put my email in the chat box, and in case anybody is interested to join the ERN, to nominate for the membership, you can contact me directly. So thank you for your patience. And before giving the word to Bart and Timo, we would like to share a video of the Masshorst, so you actually see the area that we're going to talk about today. The video might be a bit slow, but hopefully it's going to be okay.
Ik zie een bewogen landschap, gevormd door aardbreuken in een ver verleden. Ik kom steeds dichter bij waar het begon, dat oergevoel. Via oude wegpatronen, over grafheuvels tot aan de randen van de wijstgronden. Ik voel de spanning in de stillevens, de rust in het wild. Volg je oerinstinct en ga.
Again, Bart, I would like to hand over the word to you now. And Timo, welcome.
Hello, yes.
Hello, everyone. I hope everyone sees my screen.
Yeah, all good, Bart.
Yes, thank you. I will shortly introduce myself. My name is Bart van Dijk. I usually work as an entrepreneur. I work on vision, strategy, across resource and organizations in a lot of rural programs, development of rural areas. And I was a former manager of the Maashorst during almost 3 years. And I want to tell you a bit more today about what happened in the area. And after that, Timo will talk about our vision for the future, which we leave behind. I worked as a manager for an NGO. It's called Stichting Masshorst in Uitvoering. And this NGO ended last December. The management goes now to the township of the Masshorst. And Marjolein will tell you more about that later. What is important for me always is that the vision leads to a strategy and to realization of goals and results. And I believe in the power of activating a community to reach those goals with us, to make a better place. Yes. I'm going to talk a bit about the area, the timeline, the input and output the last years, and the revenues we reached, and about the future. And then Timo will present development and maintenance perspective. What is important to tell you that the Maashorst is in the Netherlands, and it's a completely different area than most rewilding areas, I think, in Europe, because Netherlands is very populated. We have over an average of 570 people living per square kilometer, and around the Maashorst, the area, the red circle, there are living almost 200,000 people using the Maashorst for recreation, for walking, for mountain biking. So it's not really nature as I experienced, for example, in Italy or in other rural areas in Europe where there are less people. What did we do the last years? It started in 2009 with the Masshorst Manifest. It was like some guideline vision over how to develop the Masshorst till 2050, long-term vision, and we translated in a nature development plan. By having those documents, we could get a lot of contribution from the government to invest in ecological goals, but also in recreational infrastructure. And that was the moment we started the NGO to manage a lot of projects. We organized a branding and marketing organization, and we reached a lot of results, and we were proud of what we reached. Some pictures of the area. This was a day with my kids and some friends of them. We invested in towers, in a lot of playing grounds, in entrances, in mountain bike routes, in all kind of things, but all in a natural way, by people connecting on a recreational way with nature. And the way the recreational infrastructure was made makes people feel like being connected to nature. This was on a rainy day with my kids. It was cold, but they wanted to walk barefoot and be in touch with nature. There were also a lot of investments in, how do you say, particular investments like climbing parks, but also campsites. And they also got contribution from the government. With the marketing, the branding, we had 3 unique selling points: wild grazers, primal treasures, and natural nature pearls. What did we do? What are we still working on is keeping water in the higher parts by making ecological banks on brooks, closing ditches and slowing drainage works, and it works as a sponge in the higher areas, and that can be used as a natural irrigation system for the lower agricultural sites, but also helps nature. In the Masshorst we also have earth faults coming all the way from Italy through Germany. We're working on a UNESCO geopark there, and what happens there is that the water accumulates against the faults, and higher parts are wetter than lower parts, and the iron water, what comes up, has special nature effects. The most important challenge always is the grazers in this area, because, as I told you, a lot of people using the area, and some people are afraid of the Weesand, the Exmoor and the Tauros who walk there. So there's a strong zoned area. We have a smaller zone with Weesand where no people can come in. There are also some Tauros and Exmoor in that area. Then we have a bigger area with Tauros and Exmoor mixed, but also people can recreate in that area. And we have a big area around now, which only is used by recreation for cycling, walking, biking, mountain biking, all that kind of things. And there are also a lot of, how do you say, horeca, help me, no, where you can eat and drink in places. There are a lot of historical sites in the Maashorst, and we made them visible, made them experience, and use them as educational sites. There are theme walks, excursions are arranged, storytelling, and there are books written about those sites and about the Maashorst. We also worked on a website. We organized festivals to strengthen the identity of the Masshorst, and we also always had a good agenda and a lot of activities year-round to enjoy the Masshorst. With all those inputs, a lot of people are connected to the Masshorst, and it led to a lot of volunteers, but also people, as I said, writing books or arranging excursions, but also, as you see, the brand is used in all kind of ways. So the Masshorst has got a brand with, I think, economical spin-off. As I told you, the NGO finished. I will tell you a bit about my experience the last 3 years as I worked there. After all those investments, there was an opinion that we are ready in the area. after all those developments, and they said we need to focus on maintenance and management only. And what happened is the townships, there were 4 who contributed to the Masshorst, they got different ambitions, but also in contribution and control how to manage. So what we did is make a new vision, new strategy with operational goals, and a new joint plan for activities and sharing costs based on the difference in ambitions. In the governance happened a lot, and there was a new township named the Maashorst, and they had the ambition to take the lead in that, because they were the township who wants to keep on contributing to the area. And the other 2 townships agreed with buying in yearly services of the plan. Marlijn will tell you more about that. Finally, the NGO and our team stopped last year, 31 December. And because it was our last year after almost 10 years working on the Masshorst, we thought it was good to leave some documents to the people who take it over from us. So the last year we especially went to the field and talked to all kind of people and stakeholders to get input for a new vision, a new joint development and maintenance perspective. And we left that as some kind of testament by the NGO, in the hope the people who take it over, and in this way the new township from the Masshorst, but also the people who live and work in the Masshorst, to persevere it in a sustainable way. And this is where I go to give over to Timo.
Yes, thank you, Bart. So my name is Timo Sens. I'm a landscape architect, and my role in this process was more to accompany all the stakeholders and to make sketches. So how will the future look like? So I have to emphasize, of course, that this is just a dot on the horizon. It's not landed yet, but it's an idea we developed this past year to how to cope with all the opinions, discussions, and the nature we have in this area. You also have to imagine that there are a lot of people living here in the neighborhood, but there's also the whole province of North Brabant is really agricultural oriented. So it's like an oasis, a nature oasis within a big agricultural desert with a lot of special grazers within it. So a lot of people enjoying it and also developing. This is, for example, the Anna cabin, where you can that you can rent and that you can sleep in next, Bart. And you can experience nature in such a way that's unbelievable. And an entrepreneur like this really wants to have the Tauros and the Vicent close by, so that he can and even look at it if it's possible. So with all those opinions we worked on, because there were also people right now who think the nature goals are a little bit too ambitious, and that the Tauros and the Vicent, that there is not enough space anymore for the recreational zones further apart. So that's why we try to work on a vision, a dot on the horizon, how you can cope with all these issues and make, of course, the end goal, the 2050 end goal, how you can realize it. So we developed 7 points and make, of course, if you talk to all the stakeholders, the common thought was still make one nature reserve in the core of the area. Bart already told us this is a really special area. It's on a fraction area where seepage water comes out of the ground. So that's also for the biodiversity a really important feature. And we want to, of course, keep that in place, but also reconnect all the natural areas of the Peelrand fraction, the breuk, and the special Wijstgronden, as it was called. Rediscover archaeology, a zoning plan, make it a zoning plan for nature and recreation. There was already a zoning plan, but how can we develop that more? And of course, how can you experience this nature and make people see the Vicente, see the Tauros, so they can have more respect for each other. So we developed a strategy for a touristical hub, a visitor center of the Tauros, Vicente and Exmoor. And of course, the end goal is also Maashorst will be a brand and helps to develop the economy. As Bart was showing, there's even Maashorst beer. There's even a Maashorst retreat center, so that it helps to develop the whole area. Next. So the first thing we worked on is, of course, the ecological connections. Where can we put them? How can we connect only the Maashorst with a bigger area? How can we, in the future, make this one big nature reserve towards the river? And how, what kind of maintenance we need. So on the right side, you see an image we made. So this is our end goal of this primal nature area, this oernatuur, what we call it. How can you experience that the best? So that will be an image of a visual of low-lying areas, high-lying areas, forests, grass, meadows, wet, dry. That's a little bit our end goal. Next. And of course, what we told, this unique feature of the Peelrandbreuk, the fraction, the Peelrand fraction, where this unique water, very iron-like, that's why it's so orange, with a lot of plants growing, also botanical specialism. That's really important for that. Next. Archaeological, rediscover archaeological. It can be only a route along an old route, or it can be just an appointment on a bridge where you can see this is the area of the Peelrand fraction. But also an important feature in the area are the dreven. These are very historical routes from church to church, for example, from Os towards Zeeland, or from Schaik towards Uden. And those dreven, these historical routes, were first used for travelers, but they were crossing the sand landscape, the moorlands, and they were very dry, so they only kept sheep up there, and it was not suitable for agriculture. But they were trader routes across the Maashorst, actually. Next, Bart. So the zoning plan was always envisioned, the core area will be a free area for grazers, and the outer skirts of the whole area was suitable for recreational. And of course, the inner area is also suitable for nature experience. Next. And this is a little bit an overview. I will not go deep into that, but this is a little bit our ambition plan, where we used the dreven, the historical routes, but also the whole nature area to develop and maintenance that's more in a primal way, that we can leave the nature as is. So normally my role as a landscape architect is to design things, but this was actually an assignment to leave everything so that nature can take over. Next. So these are the grazes, what are in the area, the Vicente, the Tauros and Exmoor. And the Tauros and Exmoor are together, but the Vicente right now is in a fenced area. So we made a timeline proposal. So how can you eventually have an end stadium in 2050 where all the grazes are together? And we knew that it was too hard to make one big step, so we introduced some in-between steps. The first one is to fence the dreven. That's an option. So that's our advice. that to fence the Draven, you can have a route between all the villages with what a safe route actually, and otherwise you can also go into the grazers area. At the end, of course, we want to leave all the fences, but I think we need in between step to let the people know there are grazers, to get more respect for each other, and get used to the things. So this is a proposal we did. So the left one is the current situation. Next, Bart. And this is a more in detail, so how we propose actually to make one big area, because there's also still need to be bought some grounds from farmers to get this huge core area with primal nature. Next. And so the first step is, according to us, to fence the Draven, so that we need to fence them wide out. So 100 meters is our advice, that you can separate also bicycles who want to go fast, or just pedestrians who wants to walk slow, or we have also a lot of a big club of horseback drivings that also wants to have space. So this is our proposal for 2024 as a first step to give the grazers more space, and also give the people, the recreational people, more space. Next. And we also want to use that feature and to get people more in touch with the grazers, that at certain points there will be crossings. So we developed the Vicent bridge. That's of course in Spain you have the Toro, but we have the Vicent, and so the historical routes will go over the nature area, so that the grazers can go walk underneath it. And this is for us a sort of first step to get people more in touch, and to get everything in place. Next. And we designed different variants to get really that primal nature, but also a viewing deck, but also a place where you can rest, and also where the Vicent guns go under and continue his route. Next. And of course, the end goal is to have more respect for each other and get in touch with nature. Next. And there are a lot of recreational routes in the area, so that's a dynamic process where we are hopefully in the coming years constantly in contact with all the recreational users, to have all the mountain bike routes in place, the horseback driving in place. So that's a dynamic process, what you not can fix in one moment. And next that we developed two visitor centers. One is existing, and we developed that more for educational purposes, and the other one is really a recreational transferium to get in touch with the wild grazers. So the first one is at the Palmstraat. We developed an area where you have a visitor center, but also the business case for only visitor centers is not financial a good choice. So we developed a primal nature camping site with the reception and the visitor center, and make a natural edge where you can experience the grazers, and you have also an area where you are what's fenced in actually. So this is just a purpose, a vision, where we talked a lot with the stakeholders in the area, and this is actually our end goal of this area. And so natural fences as good as possible to see the Vicent, for example, but not see all the fences. Yeah, continue, Bart. These are some images we made. So how can you deal with it? Keep that in the brand of the Maashorst. Make a really primal nature visitor center, and eventually we made a design for it. and it's now in the process of finding a good entrepreneur for it. And next, yeah. And as last, we also made a design for an educational center for the children, but also a visitor center, what's more oriented towards the nature pills, towards the unique Pilrand fraction. We made some design, but also we constantly thought in the brand of the primal nature. How can you experience nature? How can you see the unique nature facilities? Next, Martin. And walked with the stakeholders. Where can we put this? Where can we put that? Next. And at the end, it was also really joyful that the farmers, I think 5 farmers said, yeah, you're also doing a lot for nature, but we also want to show what kind of special landscape we have. So we made a hiking route over their lands. In England, for example, is that pretty normal, but in the Netherlands it's not normal to walk across agricultural land. So we really have to make up agreements with them. And if you are a little bit higher, then you can see the dry area and the wet area. So we made a stable where you can hide for the rain, but also can read about the farmer, what he's doing there. But also, if you be a little bit higher, that you see also the fraction area in the landscape. So it's sometimes it's a really a great big design, but also some very small, and so a little pole where you can have the roots. So the examples to stay in touch with nature, and hopefully this unique project can continue.
Martin, Timo, thank you for this wonderful insight into the past, present, and future of the Masshorst. This is brilliant and brilliant what we have seen now. So congratulations, and let's hope that all the activities are going to go towards that direction. And then, because we're a little bit out of time, I would like to hand over the word to Marjolein to explain how they're going to take the Masshorst into the future.
Yes, thank you. Really short introduction. Mai already introduced me. I'm working for a consultancy company called Möbius, and I was hired by the Maashorst as a transition manager. You can go to the next one, Mai. First of all, I want to give you some context. Like Bart already said, the foundation has done a lot of work in recent years. 2 years ago, the partners of the Maashorst decided that they were no longer really happy about the way things were organized. So they decided to take back control, and they asked, or the municipality Maashorst was going to take the lead on behalf of the partners in the area. And that means that you have to redevelop the management. And what I was doing is that I was first looking at what the things that the foundation was doing. So what kind of tasks were they doing for the area? I was not only looking at the current tasks, but also looking at the future. What is going to happen in the future? What can we expect? And what kind of demands does that make for the new team? So looking at all these tasks, I made an organizational advice in which I was talking about this new team who is going to take the lead in this area. And it was about what kind of team is necessary, what kind of people should be in this team, what kind of profiles, but also, for example, what kind of budget is needed. And another important thing is where to put this team in this new organization. Because for the partners and also for the community, it is very important that the team Masshorst is easy, accessible, is visible, and is easy to reach. So this organizational advice is now being used to hire people, and now we have a nice team who is going to take this lead in the area. Another important thing is that we made service level agreements with our partners. In the Dutch public sector, it's not really common to make service level agreements between partners. But I always say that if you want to have a good relationship with your partners, you have to make sure that there are good agreements lying underneath this relationship. So what we did, we talked with our partners, and we were talking about in which areas they wanted to join. And we also talked about the financial consequences of that. And 2 days ago, all the directors of all our partners signed these agreements. And we also used this as a moment for the press to show this new partnership. Like Bart and Timo also said, there are a lot of people involved in this area. We have a community that is really active and that has a lot of passion for the area. So it was also important to think about how are we going to guarantee that all these parties are involved and informed in a proper way. So we made a governance proposal. Maya can go to the next one. But to give you an idea about this new structure, like I said, the team, the Masshorst, is part of the municipality, the Maashorst. And in the end, we have 3 main tasks. First of all, we need to make sure that we perform according to the agreements that we made with our partners. And that means that we have to do daily management in the area, but we also need to develop the area for the future. We also have specific projects, and these projects are coming from annual project plans or multi-annual project plans. And the partners in the Masshorst are 2 other municipalities, because I think Bart already said the territory of the Masshorst, the natural area, is based on the territory of 3 municipalities. So they are important partners, and we have 2 other partners, and that are the State Forestry and the Water Authority. The community is very, very important. For the municipality, the Masshorst and her partners, it's very important that we make sure that this community is able to participate in this area. And therefore we have an advisory board. In this advisory board are representatives from, for example, the entrepreneurs or leisure companies, but also natural associations. And this advisory board is giving solicited and unsolicited advice to Team the Masshorst on a strategic level. We also have the user groups like the bikers, but also representatives of the disabled people. And we talk with them on a more operational level. So this is the organizational structure that we are going to use to make sure that in the future things are being well managed. 2022 will be an important year. It's the first year in this new partnership. And although the municipality, the Masshorst, is taking the lead, I do want to underline that still with all the we do this with all the partners together. And that's our mission. So we do it together with one heart and one passion for the Masshorst. And the foundation has done a lot of nice things. Bart and Timo already show you. And now for us, 2022 is making sure that we are going to build on this legacy. We are going to make a new management plan. The development perspective that Timo was talking about is not ready yet. We need to, it's not definite. We still need to talk with our partners to make sure that everybody is happy with this perspective and that it is supported, and not only on an organizational level, but also on a political level. And this perspective is going to set the framework for a new multi-year plan and also a new communication plan. And we believe if we do this in 2022 with all our partners, that then it's possible to make sure that we continue the success and that we are going to put this area on the agenda nationally, but also internationally. And so we have to do a lot this year, but we do it together. Next one, Mike. Okay. There are some challenges working in this area, and that is that there are different kind of interests. First of all, you have to work both on a strategic and on an operational level, but we also have the organizational level and the political level. And to give you an example, in March, there will be elections in 2 of the municipalities. And then we always have to wait and see what kind of new political sphere is going to happen and what kind of impact that will have on the area. The media is also important for us to make sure that we have a good relationship with them and to rebuild trust with our partners. And I think the most important thing for this year and also the years coming is to walk the talk. So not only to make a lot of promises to the partners, but also to the community, but mostly to also do what we have promised. Next one. Yeah, so that was my short introduction to the Masshorst. Thank you for your attention. And I really would like to invite you maybe somewhere else this year to show you more about all the beautiful things that we are doing in the Masshorst. Thank you.
Thank you, Marjolein. I think there are a few questions in the Q&A box. So we're already 10 minutes over our schedule, but I think we can address the 2 questions there. If anybody else has any questions, please, you can type the questions here, or you can contact me after the webinar. I'm going to include my email in the chat box in a minute. So there's a question from Antoine Schroeder. You mentioned that some visitors fear the visons and that some clear areas are defined so people can wander around safely. How has the introduction of the herd been welcomed initially by the people living around the area?
I did not hear it good, May. What was the question? Sorry.
You mentioned that some visitors fear the visons and that some clear areas have been defined so people can wander around safely. How has the introduction of the herd been welcomed initially by the people living around the area?
Well, in the beginning, when they were introduced, there was a lot of communication and a lot of people were against those grazers. But I think a lot of people were also against fencing in the area, the woods and the natural area they used before. There were new fences and all those kind of things, and there were some you could not do anything anymore because you had your behavior has to be managed with the grazers. So we did a lot of communication. During the years, we saw that like 50% changed into a 70-30% accustomed to the grazers, and people get used to the grazers. What is step by step. We had in the last 5 years, we had 2 incidents in the Maashorst, but because of people not behaving, not keeping distance, those kind of things, and then you are in, as we are with the 4 municipalities, there's a lot of political discussion about keeping the grazers or getting them out, and that was always happening in the last 5 years. It was the biggest political attention was about the safety of the grazers. All the other things we did get not that many attention, but it was always there. But we did an evaluation 2 years ago, 1 year ago, and then all those townships, municipalities decided to keep on going with the grazers. So luckily they can stay now.
Thank you, Bart. There is is this a comment? There's a comment from Rico Coxhorn. Nice, relatively organic in the end handover from old to new governance structure. This is what the area deserves. Good luck and thank you for all the work done.
Thank you.
And Before we end the webinar, I have one question from my side. I'm wondering, is the public aware about the effects that the natural grazers actually have on the area itself and on the nature of the area?
Well, it depends on the interests of people, of course, but I think the Masshorst is special because there are, what I said in my presentation, there are a lot of people like, we have another NGO educating people, taking people into the Maashorst, Natuurcentrum, the Maashorst. They teach school children on their side and taking them into the area, learning about the historical sites, the grazing and all those kind of things. And that's a beautiful thing. We have like 70 or 80 volunteers checking the fences, giving information into the field. There are some kind of rangers, they are there all year round. So being connected, being in touch, talking to people about how to behave helps a lot. We cannot do that by communication by our website or newsletters. It's like people being in the field, feeling connected to the Masshorst, and that's the important thing I think you have there.
I can also respond. I think that, like I said, there will going to be a new multi-year plan, and also next to that, a multi-year communication plan. And in this plan, we are also going to focus on the fact that how can we inform the public and more about the impact, the positive impact, because sometimes now the discussion is more about safety and not so much on the positive effect of the great grazers. So that will be a really big subject in the communication plan for the coming years. How to inform the public better and how to get them more involved as well.
Thank you both. Just one more question that we're going to take on, and this is there are two people who are curious about how are you managing the number of the grazers and control the reproduction.
That's a technical question. Well, we have the ranges, but we have like one NGO who owns the animals and control and check the animals. It's Stichting Free and Tauros. They started with introducing the WeCent and the AUREX program, and they check and control the animals and test the animals, DNA and all those kind of things. And so that's organized by another NGO, and we trust them on that.
There's one comment in the chat box from Tim Ewart. He says, "Thank you for sharing. Is there an opportunity to get involved?" For any questions that you have that should be addressed to Bart, Marjolein, or Timo, please do send it to my email address, which is now in the chat box, and I will forward the relevant questions to either of them three. I would like to close the webinar now and thank all of our presenters for telling us the story about the Masshorst and introducing us to the Masshorst, and to all of you who have joined the webinar and showed your interest. I hope this was useful, and I wish you all a very nice weekend coming ahead and a nice Friday afternoon. Thank you and goodbye.